Well, I'm sure you can see that there are a lot of orange trees, or they're not really oranges, are they? They're clementines or something. The reason is it's Chinese New Year. Well, it's going to be very soon. Problem is, most of these, well, pretty much all of the fruit here is just going to go to waste. No one is actually going to eat them. It's a bloody tragedy. I can't remember the exact reason, but you stick these in your house and it means good fortune and good luck and all that, but they basically just let them go to rot. Don't eat them. Yeah, I guess it's probably bad luck to eat them or something, but it's just such a waste. Anyway, it's another interesting Chinese thing, and it's getting too dark to wear glasses. Alright, so welcome to China, how it is, part 3. I'm going to be talking about spitting, and I'm also going to be talking about language. I suppose I better start with the language. First of all of you who, like me, grew up in the 80s, watching 80s movies, things like Big Trouble in Little China, Golden Child, whatever, all these sort of 80s movies that are set in the East, in China, or have Chinese people in them. What you're hearing is not Chinese, you're hearing Cantonese, which is, well, people will beg to differ, but it's basically just a dialect. And there's a reason for that, because Cantonese is spoken in Hong Kong, and it's basically only spoken in Hong Kong and Guangzhou. Although a lot of people down in the Guangdong province can understand it. Now, that would explain why all the sort of Hollywood Chinese people speak Cantonese, because China being blocked off in the past, obviously only the people in Hong Kong could break free and settle overseas. At least that's one theory. Where am I right now? I'm in the sort of flower city, which is a big place in Shenzhen selling, as you can see, flowers. And well, it's that time of year where flowers are popular. Anyway, I'll get back to you with all this soon. Alright, so let me try to get back to the matter at hand. One of the biggest gripes, if not, I must say, probably my biggest gripe when it comes to China is spitting. Now, people here spit a lot. They don't just spit, they hock up loogies. So, you got all the wonderful sound accompanying that as well. There will not be a day that goes by that you will not hear several people hocking up loogies in public. You do kind of get used to it, but it's still disgusting. So that's probably the biggest, one of my biggest issues anyway. What else? Get back to the language in a minute. With the magic of technology, we've suddenly fast-forwarded about a month and a half since that last video. Sorry, my plan was to, go out and film people spitting for you, and it's proved a little more difficult than I thought. I mean, since spitting is a spontaneous thing, if I walk around, sort of filming people, they tend to be camera shy or something and they don't spit, which is weird. However, I'm sure you'll see in my future videos, I'll be catching people spitting all over the place, just randomly. Usually whenever I wake up in the morning, I'll hear my neighbors hocking up loogies. Walking anywhere, you just hear people hocking up loogies. It's pretty disgusting, but it's everywhere, so be prepared to put up with that. Anyway, I should talk more about the language. Now, in that previous clip, all I talked about was Cantonese, which, okay, there's a funny story. When the new China came about, when China Republic was born, I think it's 60 odd years old now, the whole Mao Zedong and the revolution and all that nonsense. They apparently put a vote as to which would become the official language for China. And it was between Putonghua, or Mandarin as it's normally called, and Guangdonghua, which is Cantonese, or they also call it Yeyu or Baihua. and apparently Cantonese lost by only 1 vote. Of course, I don't believe that. I think they just told that to keep the Cantonese people happy. Cantonese is very, very widely spoken in Guangdong. As in, you can pretty much speak it anywhere you like, but only in 1 province. And, China has something like 33 provinces. Cantonese is also really only very widely spoken in, like I said, Hong Kong and Guangzhou, which used to be called Canton, hence Cantonese. Now, here's something interesting for you. When I first came to China and I heard Putonghua or Mandarin, people are referencing it as Putonghua. I thought, Putonghua, that's a very interesting sounding name for a language. But then as I actually came to understand Chinese, I realized that the name for the language, Putonghua, actually isn't all that interesting. All it means is ordinary language or normal language, because Putongda in Chinese means normal, and Hua is language. So basically, if someone says to you, 你可以讲普通话吗? They normally ask that. Can you speak Putonghua? What they're asking is, can you speak normal language or can you speak ordinary language? Which is a bit lame if you ask me, but that's just the way it is. So Mandarin or Putonghua is spoken everywhere in China, in Guangdong as well. Even I'd say the only place in China where people can't understand it very well is Hong Kong, because Hong Kong has been predominantly Cantonese and cut off from China for so many years. They can't speak, Mandarin. But all the other provinces, it's kind of a mandate. You have to learn Putonghua in school. Any kind of official documents or government-related stuff, you have to speak Mandarin. Also, an interesting thing, in Taiwan, they speak Mandarin because, basically the Taiwanese people, when they, ran off to Taiwan, they all came from the sort of Fujian area, and their primary language was Putonghua or Mandarin. So Taiwan speaks Mandarin. The whole of China speaks Mandarin. I think it's the most widely spoken language in the world, or the most spoken, not the most widely, sorry. English, of course, is the most widely spoken language, but the most spoken language is Mandarin, just because there's so many people speaking it. So here's a little bit of advice to anyone who plans on actually studying Chinese. If it comes down to a choice somewhere down the line, and you have to choose between Putonghua, Mandarin, or Guangdonghua, Cantonese, obviously it makes sense to study Mandarin. I mean, the only reason you'd ever want to study Guangdonghua, Cantonese, is if you were going to live and work in Hong Kong only and have nothing to do with the mainland. But, slowly but surely, people in Hong Kong are starting to be able to speak Mandarin as well, even though none of them are happy about that for obvious reasons, political and historical. But Mandarin is the way to go. It's the language to speak. So I suppose you want some examples of the difference between the two. Well, I can't speak Cantonese at all, really. Beer Girl comes from Hong Kong. She speaks it fluently, obviously. I know a few words, so maybe I can do some small comparisons for you. How about, okay, if you want to say something is delicious in Mandarin, you would say 好吃, I guess, or yes, that's what you'd say. 非常好吃, very delicious. If you want to say it in Cantonese, you'd say 好美啊, something like that. You see, you'll definitely notice if you go to Hong Kong or wherever and they're speaking Cantonese, they've got a lot of the ah and the o and the whatever, When they say 没有问题 in Mandarin, 没有问题 means no problem. In Cantonese, it's 没问题啊, And what else is there? Basically, I can say a few words in Cantonese. Maybe some of you out there will be able to understand if I say 含濕路啊, or something like that, see if you can figure it out. But the sound of it to me isn't a very attractive sound, so I much prefer the Mandarin, which is the language I could speak and understand fairly well. All right, so I hope that answers your questions on the whole language thing. Shenzhen is even though it's in Guangdong, everybody speaks Mandarin here because everybody's come here from different provinces in China. You know, it's a migrant city. So if you want to live and work here, you're going to have to learn Mandarin. And anywhere in China, that includes, you know, if you want to go to Taiwan as well, Mandarin's the language to speak. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Thank you for watching this is part 4. And the next part, the next China How It Is, I'm going to talk about public transport. So catch you then.